panic and rage overtook her. They had been sent here to get away from this man, or whatever he was, and still he managed to find them and was going to try to kill Thomas and James. Sparks flew from her hands despite the vague uneasy feeling that was beginning to build in her stomach. Hair raised from the static that was building around her. Whirlwinds formed at the edge of the field, moving inward in a direct line to her enemy. This jerk was not going to win. If this thing ended in any way, it was going to be over their dead bodies laying on this field. Because he certainly wasn't going to walk away, not if she had anything to say about it. Thomas latched onto her turbulent thoughts, burrowing in as deeply as he could, adding to the build of energy until a spark of electricity leapt from him to her and then to James. Their connection intensified, causing a faint ripple in the air behind them. Blue sky cracked and split apart to reveal a thin red line. The crack widened, gradually spreading into a gelatinous mass the size of a large door. This was their way out, generated by their combined energies. They didn't belong here, had only been sent here as a temporary measure. This red hole was their escape hatch. He got the message loud and clear. He also knew that Braccus intended to kill James and him and leave with Sarah. Sarah, on the other hand, was a powder keg ready to explode. She didn't care about leaving at the moment. She just wanted Braccus dead and was prepared to tear him and this place apart to protect them. Braccus watched her with a faint bemused grin as miniature tornadoes increased in speed and she struck him with a bolt of lightning, effectively knocking him on his behind. As he struggled to his feet, a delighted smile lit up his dark features. He had not expected this. She had power, much like he had seen in one other, and he was beginning to sense somehow that this was not the first time that he had dealt with this one. She knew him and obviously did not like him. How was it that this could happen? He had been alive in one form or another for ages and did not remember having encountered her before. She was so much more than she appeared on the surface, and he did so love surprises. With a wave of his hand, he sent a lightning bolt back in her direction, only to have it arc away and strike a bush. Impressive. He had underestimated her and was intrigued by these new developments. Was she like him? If so, had been keeping secrets. Looking at her pleasing face and figure, he decided that this secret would be his. The lightning hit something else. Feathers flew, accompanied by the smell of burning flesh as the charge struck a chicken. Startled clucking from the others, followed by a stampede of hens anxious to get away from the burning body. Gummy white yolk rained down from the sky and thin slivers of white shell pelted Sarah, James and Thomas as they moved away from the retreating goats and chickens. All this activity provided a distraction for their opponent, and he watched with amusement while Thomas raised his hands, anxiously awaiting the next amusing trick. Maybe this one could do something to impress him. The earth split and Braccus found himself falling downward. Large roots split from the earth, snagging his arms. They pulled him further into the ground, following the direction of the dark-haired one. Laughing at his carelessness, he touched the roots. They cracked and split, falling harmlessly away. He should have paid more attention to her companion. All that anger had power behind it. For one who had never faced a challenge before, this was quite an illuminating experience. He felt so exhilarated, after ages of sneaking around and meeting no resistance. This was wonderful. Braccus rose to the surface once again to find the three creatures had moved, running in the direction of a wavering red light set low in the sky. Where had that come from? A puzzled frown pulled the corners of his mouth down, and suddenly he did not feel so wonderful. They couldn't be allowed to leave. His senses tingled, both from the appearance of their power portal and the opening of another much higher in the atmosphere. This had to stop. The others would be here soon, and there had already been enough disturbances to attract Iam's attention, even with the shields in place. He wasn't ready to show Iam what he could do, not yet. He hadn't had time to try all of his powers on this new place. Up above, he tried to appear just like the rest of them, even though he knew he was so much more. He was the greatest of them all and wanted to have full advantage when he showed them just how great he really was. He must regain control of this situation, and he had to do it quickly, before the lesser ones were sent down and Iam chose to go beyond the power shield he had erected. Reaching up to the sky, he drew the fleeing figures toward him with a slow pulling motion. His face drawn with the effort, a faint fluttering in his mind signaled the presence of an uninvited visitor. Rage twisted his handsome face. He was better than their maker, weren't they aware of that? How dare that brown-haired thing challenge him by crawling into his head? It even had the audacity to issue orders, and his feet were moving backward, his hands falling to his sides, temporarily breaking his hold on the fleeing trio. Having practiced control on simple objects, Braccus was unused to dealing with anything that had abilities such as his, and he didn't like being on the receiving end. "This is useless," he whispered back to his opponent. "Leave the blonde one for me and I will let the two of you leave." He stepped back to show the young man, that's what you call them, that he was sincere, all the while toying with him. He was so clever, he chuckled silently to himself, willing him to obey, all the while vowing to take the girl. He tried the word in his head, girl, knowing he had to take her with him for sure this time. She would tell him what was going on, tell him what she knew, share her secrets and power with him. As these thoughts played out in his head, he allowed himself to enjoy visions of using her to attack Iam and his creations. Surely that's why she was here, for him, because it was all for him. He was after all the very first, all the others had been made after him. He had willed himself here and Iam had just accepted credit for it, but he would show them all, with her by his side. Increasing his efforts, he willed them to walk towards him once again. They approached him step by slow step, and his confidence was growing by the second, bolstered by the return of his control. The bright smile reappeared on his face, anticipating his new acquisition. She would adore him, and he would let her. His smile quickly turned to a look of disbelief, as a tall form appeared suddenly in front of him, blocking his vision of his pretty prize. He heard her calling desperately to the dark-haired one as he tackled him to the ground, hitting him repeatedly in the stomach. Braccus let out a surprised shriek as pain raced through his midsection. He had never experienced this before. But then again, he had never assumed this form before. In his eagerness to contact this new creature, He had studied them and made himself like them in every way. This must be a weakness, he thought as he fell backwards, twigs sliding across his skin causing cuts and bruises. Braccus let him attack, reveling in the violence that this one was exhibiting. He wasn't angry now, just pleasantly distracted from the others as he enjoyed the violence, making little effort to fend him off, despite the pain.